everybody. We've got another amazing guest for you all this week. I want everyone to welcome to the show Phoebe Xavier. Welcome, Phoebe.
Hey,
Hello,
Phoebe.
thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We got a little bit of stuff to talk about. The cool stuff you're doing with 123 Go publishing, and the stuff that you're writing yourself and putting on there. But before we do that, we always put our first time guests through the gauntlet of their origin story in comics. And I know you've done some other writing for other stuff, but where did it really start for comics for you? What got you into that?
So I kind of started reading at a very early age, and after I graduated out of my Dr. Seuss books, my mom was like, "Well, maybe you'll enjoy these," and she gave me a case of her old comic books, which were like Silver Age, late 50s, early 60s books. So I started reading some
Nice.
really old classic stuff when I was really little. And then like in the 80s, got into stuff like Transformers, then
Mhm.
graduated to X-Men. And I would say, and I collected some Spider-Man, some Avengers, but mostly was an X-Men fan, and then like the extended X books.
Mhm. That's a good spot to. I mean, the Silver Age stuff is a good spot to be in. That's like,
Yeah.
some of the classic stories to really get into.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was also she collected when like Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, and Lana Lang all had their own books and stuff. So she'd
Oh
have like
yeah.
feature page, double issue Lois Lane, and like of course Superman's also in it, but she's like on the title, like got the cover.
Yeah. That was always funny to me because it was like you're almost like, okay, I know Superman, and it's like I can't believe all these people are getting their own books. I mean, it's a little more common now, and what people are doing with indie publishing. And I think that is interesting now that we got those back in the day, and at the time I don't know how popular they were, but that's funny that you like got up, your first introduction was reading that stuff. So
Yeah, when my mom was a 5-year-old girl, she was into it. So
yeah, that's so awesome.
And it's funny to me. It's unfortunate because I heard especially that Lois Lane book's actually like good. From the women in my life that have read it. Obviously, I'm not the target audience for something like that, but it's unfortunate that book is known for that one issue that's like a little, not a little, a lot like problematic, where she just turns black to be a black woman for a day.
Oh yeah.
I don't know
oh,
if your mom had that issue or not, but that's what I always think of when I think of that book.
Yep.
she went undercover as a black woman. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Undercover. Yeah, a little more problematic today. So when did the 123 Go thing happen? So how did that come about?
So I actually got a notification on Facebook that showed me like design art from 8 years ago. So
Wow.
as long ago as 8 years ago, I was working with some people on. Initially, I was going to do a graphic novel, which would have been like 88 pages of different stories, and then I think I decided to do it issue by issue, as certain things got done quicker than others. And so we're on issue. We have 6 of them completed now, and I'm working on number 7. That book is called Sidereal Apogee, and that
Okay.
is our cyberpunk anthology. And that's basically what started it all. And at first, it was just some of my friends that I knew through Facebook that I was like, "Hey, do you want to try drawing these characters with me?" and this and that. And some of them flaked off. Some of them stuck with me for a couple of years. But like I learned that to stay in the indie game and to continue putting out comic books, you have to pay these people.
Yeah.
So I started finding artists that would work at a rate that I could handle in my meager just eke and buy kind of lifestyle.
Hmm.
So yeah, and because of that, I do work with a lot of people overseas who like don't charge as much, but that money goes so much further there.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
so yeah,
Interesting.
Southeast Asia and South America, I found a lot of talented people that their art is amazing and their rates I can stomach.
Mhm. That's interesting. And you realize you kept the people around that wanted to be involved in the projects, right? That weren't flaking off. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, strangely enough, a young lady that I was working with initially in 2016 turned into a hardcore Trumper and had to stop working with her.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah,
Other than
the
that.
friends from Uganda stayed with us for at least 6 years. He was working, doing
Wow.
covers and other stuff for us.
Wow. And that's kind of where you all started was the anthology. And what type of anthology was it?
Cyberpunk.
Oh, okay.
So I guess 8 or 9 years ago, I started to write a novel, a cyberpunk novel that I wrote 135 pages of it,
Oh.
and then I started to then write some short stories about some of the characters, and then I was like, all right, let me write some comic book stories about them. And I've never returned to finish that novel, but what I did was I did so much world building that in my head I understood like what the solar system was like in the year 2050 or whatever, where the book's taking place. So so now I have that universe that it all happens in that universe. Everything in that title happens in that universe, and it's like 450 years in the future or 30 years in the future, and that there is a organization called Soul Corps, which is the top corporations in the solar system also control the government and the military and the cops and the courts and everything. So it's dystopian in that sense, but it's also a lot of fun high tech stuff going on. The Earth itself is an irradiated mess with a airborne disease, which is an airborne form of Ebola that like sort of kills people slowly, slower than Ebola does. But the same sort of like just eventually you bleed out, weird start bleeding everywhere, and so it's a slow, painful, awful death, and that's why most people live off Earth in that future. But it's similar to like the Expanse books or whatever the name of that sequence is called. That it's mostly located just in the solar system. Most of the action takes place just from here to the extent of the Oort cloud. I know they later start teleporting through alien worlds or whatever. But like, yeah, the initial few books of the Expanse is a similar kind of world to what I tried to invent.
Wow, very interesting. So, and it's kind of, it relatively speaking, it's local starts off, but I think it's interesting getting away from Earth, and trying to expand out, right? And because Earth sucks now, so we can't be here.
With the amount of nuclear power plants on this planet, like no matter how much we take care of them, we're gonna have another Fukushima. It's only a matter of time.
Right. Right.
And we probably still haven't seen the last of the repercussions from that one. But hopefully the Earth does not get as destroyed as it does in my fiction.
I wouldn't want to suffer a slow Ebola. That sounds awful. Yeah. So that's great. So is the next project coming out an installment of that?
Okay, so what I'm here to promote tonight, and what I'm on a promotional kind of podcast tour over the last month or two to push, is my book Superliminal Latency, and it's 17 short stories, and it's a variety of genres, mostly cyberpunk and horror. And I've also developed a genre that I've been working on called horror porn, which is graphic sex, graphic violence, and graphic drug use, different substance abuse sort of things. And so maybe 6 or 7 of them fit that genre. And I also kind of built a little code into the titles so that if you want to skip the more graphic adult material, you can. Because I have some friends that I've sent some of my stories to, and they've been like, "Hey Phoebe, I love like the sci-fi action stuff, but don't send me the scary rapey stuff."
Yeah.
Like, okay, I get it.
Can I filter it out? Yeah. Right.
What was that book that was it was like zombies, but
Crossed.
Crossed, yeah.
Yeah. That was the Garth Ennis book where it was like, it starts off with like people getting murdered and raped, and it was like, hey, this is what happens. Like, but it was like one of the top selling Avatar books, Avatar Press, right? I think it was putting it out.
Because it was a book that I surprisingly I really liked, and I would send it to people, and they would just be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Yeah.
I think, and people ask me, I'm not even into horror that much, so people have asked me like, why write horror like that then? And it's like, if I have a good idea and I don't think anybody's ever done it before, then I want to write it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I want to put an original idea out there. It's not necessarily that I want to go all cringe and like graphic gross, but like if that was the idea and that's part of the story, then I'm gonna get it out.
So that's like pushing it out of your comfort zone then, because you're not really into horror then, but you have these ideas.
The final story in the book is a story called chase_rape_kill.fdd. And it's telling from a first-person perspective of a woman being chased and attacked in New York City like 100 years in the future. And So that
Okay.
one was actually really difficult to write because I'm writing about like sexual assault, like from a first person perspective.
Right.
And my editor, Joseph Surveillance, actually had me go back and retool a couple parts of that, like make it more readable for the reader. Because I think at some point I was just like trying to get through it. Be like,
Yeah.
all right, onto the next scene, onto the next scene.
Right. Because it's
And-
like, okay, this is even graphic for me, but it's a story you want to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's half a twist at the end. I had to go through all of that to get to the cool twist. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also a very sensitive subject matter. Did you have to do like a ton of research to make sure you were getting things correct in any sense, or?
I've been sexually assaulted before. I wouldn't say that I've suffered anything as bad as the woman in the story does.
Mm.
But yeah, no, I used to live on the streets and like sort of be a hobo traveler, living out of a backpack. And I would in various towns I had different places to hit up, but I would fly a cardboard sign that said "I will rap for cash or food." And I've made a lot of rap music in my time, so
Wow.
I was never one of those people that was just like, hey, I'm a junkie, give me free shit. It was like,
Right.
I make money traveling, using my skills to comfortably drink and eat and, do whatever I
Right.
was doing at the moment. But, so, where I was going with that.
I think
I had asked about researching for the story, and you had mentioned that you had experienced something similar.
Yeah.
Actually, kind of experienced Street Fighter at this point, but
Wow.
I'm also, so don't take that as an invitation to start fights with you guys. But yeah, so I would say I've lived some of the research over the years.
Yeah. So you've kind of take personal experience and weave that into stories as well.
Sometimes, yeah, for sure.
And it's good. You said you had the editor looking it over. I mean, it's probably good to have that perspective of like, okay, as a reader, and like you have a story you want to tell, but as the reader too, it's like, okay, this might, there's some parts where you could tell the story a little bit stronger than others. Like you said, you're trying to rush through it at some points where you don't realize you're doing something like that. So that probably helps, right?
Yes, the book would not be half as good as it is in its final form without my editor Joseph. He definitely helped me shave off the fat and make it a well-honed series of stories.
Okay. And that's out digitally now, or?
Yes, it's on Kindle. Well, the thing with Kindle that I didn't realize was going to happen is it kind of reformats a lot of stuff that we spent months painstakingly making the PDF perfect. That the PDF that is for the print version is perfect, and so seeing what Kindle did to it, it takes away the page numbers, it changed my font, of makes spacing weird in some places. So I'm still letting people know that it's there, but I'm also in the meantime paying a woman who does book editing, copy, what is it? Copywriting, copyworking.
Yeah.
That she is going to reformat it. We're going to reload it in another week or two. So there will be a better version on Kindle soon. But for right now, and the other thing that I've had explained to me is that people say that Kindle kind of comes across the way they program it, they personalize it. So it might actually be great for anybody's curtailed Kindle. But yeah, it's up there. It's $8.88. The print version is 288 pages. I think it's 103,000 words. So
wow,
yeah,
that's a lot of book for just $8, under $9.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, my goal right now is to sell 500 copies. I will feel accomplished as an indie publisher, and doing all my own promotion and whatnot if I can sell 500 copies.
And
awesome.
And people out there listening, I've talked to publishers, and if they hit 1,000 copies, they're like ecstatic. So 500 is quite a goal. Like it's it's great.
Oh, all right. Well, I believe I can do it. And we're gonna get there one way or the other if it takes me a year.
Yeah, I think having it digitally available is always a huge advantage to hitting that goal. Though, for someone like me that's all digital now, I talk to a lot of creators. They're like, we're just printing it, we're not doing it digital, and I'm like, well, I'm out. But no, having it digitally definitely helps. Yeah,
and I say that not to discourage, I just more clarification to the audience who might hear like 500 copies. That's not that much. it's a decent goal for anyone out there. And I think it's definitely doable, especially if you got good work there. But that clarification. That I wasn't trying to put you down or anything. I was just clarification for the audience.
Yeah.
Who helped set up this interview, who's been working as my publicist. I work with him on comic books as well. We're gonna just keep booking, and I might be coming back around on repeating some of these podcasts, coming around a second or third time until I meet that goal.
Great.
So, behind the scenes question for you. So you're putting it on Kindle. Do you know, for instance, if it's going to also publish it to Comixology as well by doing it to Kindle?
I don't think so. It's not a comic book, for one thing.
Okay.
It's all prose. There's no pictures in the book. So I think that no, probably not on Comixology. But on Indie Planet, which is where I sell my comics, it is going to be, you can either download the perfect PDF that I was talking about, or you can order a physical copy. And the physical copies are going to be like $20.
Okay. And do you know when the physical copies will be available?
So they're technically kind of available already, but I am waiting in the mail for my author's copy. Since I've never actually printed a book, I want to make sure the margins look right. And so after I look at it, and it should be here this coming week, and then I just click a button on Indie Planet, and it will put it for sale to the public. So pretty soon.
Yeah. Great, so pretty soon. Awesome. Very cool. And Chris will be sure to have all those links for everybody for the website.
Chris, are you in Philadelphia?
No, I live up in upstate New York.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I grew up in Essex County, and I was living in West Philly up until 2 Julys ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. At one point in my life was a goal to move down to Pennsylvania. I think now I'm staying put around my family. But
Philly's a place. I saw a bunch of fights on the L train, and weird crap goes on in Philly. Yeah.
I love I've been to Philly plenty of times. I love the Philly mentality, the Philly attitude, I just embrace it all around. I know some people it turns them off, but I just think especially when I see stuff online, it just makes me laugh. I think it's great.
And I've lived on the streets in Philadelphia too. It could definitely be a crazy freaking place. I am a New Yorker at heart. I was born right outside of New York in North Jersey, born in North Jersey. But and my favorite place to go as a child was always New York. And kind of moving to suburbs of Philly was kind of like not fun for me, because people were all like, "Oh, you have to be an Eagles fan now. You have to be a Flyers fan now." I was like, "I love the Devils. I love the Giants. Leave me alone."
Yeah.
I remember that eventually, and Philadelphia does have a place in my heart.
The man that I know with the biggest balls he's actually a doctor at a children's hospital up near where I live, and he's a big Giants fan, and he actually did all of his med school stuff in Philly, and he showed me pictures. He used to walk around Philly in his Jeremy Shockey jersey, and I was just like, the fact that you made it out of there alive, man.
That's your fight. My father used to have his company that was in the suburbs of Philadelphia had season tickets to the Eagles, and he was a huge Giants fan. But when he went to the Eagles-Giants game, he didn't root for the Giants. He wasn't trying to get beers around him. He wasn't trying to get punched.
Yeah. He's trying to keep it safe. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Phoebe, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, before we take off on it, you did mention you had other stuff you were working on. Did you want to pimp out any other books that you were working on before we took off?
So I'm working on a book called Operation Blackbird, or no, it's going to be called The Blackbird Dossier, sorry. And that one is about deep in the future, like in the year 2700, something like that, that there's this company that offers a service to rich people, and they offer this service to rich people in a variety of timelines. And what they do is they send their mind back to the distant past, they'll send like a rich dude from the future, and they'll give him all of the Wu-Tang Clan's like lyrics or something, and put him in the 80s with the lyrics, so that they can become a rap star before Wu-Tang becomes Wu-Tang.
Oh wow, that's hilarious.
So and then their entire pockets where they've established a bunch of artists in particular timelines where they're like encroaching on them and controlling these timelines. And so yeah, it's kind of about a woman that sort of starts to be able to talk to all the different timeline versions of herself, sort of like an everything everywhere all at once kind of effect. I was right before I saw that movie. But yeah, and it also centers around a satirical fictional version of the Wu-Tang Clan, like have made up alternate names and like songs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then and a young guy, a dude called Casual Val, who was raised by a mafia hitman and himself graduated to doing that, and he's like an asset that this company uses. And it's kind of on those characters. I'm working on that. I'm also writing, still writing short stories. I'm writing a short story right now called Bluetooth, which is about Harold Bluetooth, the first king of Denmark. And sort of first is biographical about him, very normal, like just facts about his life. And then when he gets to the afterlife, instead of going to the Christian heaven or Valhalla or anything, he finds himself 1,000 years in the future in our time being used, his soul is being used to connect speakers to devices. And he's just stuck in this like limbo hell. And
that's amazing. I love that.
I've been reading a lot of magic realism, and I'm trying to write more surreal, weird shit.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, that I want to read. That's
I will send it out to a bunch of people when it's done.
Oh my god, I can't wait. Yeah. That type of shit is great because it's like, yeah, I do the whole history of Bluetooth and blah blah, and then now he's stuck in an eternal torment connecting speakers. I love it. Yeah, that's amazing. And those all will be available through your publishing website too?
So I reckon we're putting out another collection at some point. And
okay.
I might have 5 or 6 done and like 3 or 4 that are half written. So like I do have more stories coming, and there will be a second collection. Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Yeah. Can't wait for that.
So Phoebe, if people wanted to follow you further, maybe to see when the physical copies of Superliminal Latency come out, where can they follow you online? Are you on social media or anything like that?
I am on, you can find me on IG. I don't really post a lot, but I'm at Phoebe123go on Instagram. I will be posting more as I have like exciting things to say about the book.
Mm-hmm.
And on Facebook, you can find us at 123go Publications. And there's like a fan page or whatever for that. I'm on Twitter, but I argue politics so much on Twitter that I don't ask comic book fan people to come find me there. Yeah. Oh, there's another Instagram to follow. It'll be our next Kickstarter. Probably launching in April, if not May, and it's called Vikings Saga of the North. And but on IG, it's like underscore between each word. But yeah, Vikings of the North is a story that was my friend Jose Ernesto Diaz is in Guatemala, and he was looking for someone to help him make his pictures into a comic book, and like he had like 40 pages worth of really amazing art of like about Viking culture, and so I've helped him work that into an actual narrative arc, and I'm going to put out like a 22-page book called Viking Saga of the North. It's meant to be a historically accurate representation of Viking history and culture. It's not really fictionalized in any way. We're just talking about what they ate, how they lived, stuff like that.
Very cool.
That was very awesome. Cool.
Yeah, I'll be interested in that too.
So everybody out there, I will have links to Phoebe's website and the Indie Planet link as well. So make sure to check the show notes down below. And Phoebe, thanks so much for stopping by, and we look forward to doing it again sometime.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Nice to meet you guys. Great to talk.